Hello, I'm Eckhard Roediger. I'm the training director of the Frankfurt Schema Therapy Institute in Germany. I'm the past president of the ISST and now its honorary member. But today I'm presenting to you a little sneak peek from our upcoming training in couples therapy. And this one today is how to deal with pushy, controlling, demanding partners in your couples therapy, more or less over controlling or dominating. And they are difficult people sometimes. Before I start, I'm going to introduce to you Betty. Betty is our dominant pushy partner today, and Tom is a more avoidant, vulnerable partner who frequently turns away, detaches, and this leads to escalating cycles because the more Tom detaches, the more Betty goes after him, the more she pushes him, the more he's frightened and detaches. A quite typical constellation in our couples work. Before I start, let me introduce to you that we, on a regular basis, use a second layer of working. By standing up, we stop the cycles, we stand up together, try to team up as a consultation team, and look down from the standing up position on the chairs floating above the process down there. And this gives us the safety to keep the working alliance up, even if on the process level, emotions fuel high. That's what I did. I stopped the cycle, and now I'm standing with Betty and Tom in the standing up observer position. I use these puppets to demonstrate clients, for example, if I work online, how they should picture us standing. If I work on site in my room, we actually line up like that. And we look down on the chairs, float above it, and talk in third person language about Tom and Betty on the chairs to create more distance, to diffuse from the process on the chairs and get more into a present moment observer stance. Once we're there, things calm down a little bit. And then we can ask Betty, Betty, which mode is the Betty down there in when she comes to the room the way it just happened when the therapist stopped? And then we ask for the emotions fueling this coping mode, which is usually, in Betty's case, more an activated, annoyed, angry side, and not the vulnerable, anxious, sad side, which is more prevalent in Tom. So we sum up and get an idea of Betty in an activated state, leaning into more dominant, pushy behavior. That's where we stopped. And I just give you an impression, like an excerpt of our work, not the whole thing. But today I want to show you how you can access the vulnerable side, which is hidden in Betty, in an experiential way. Before I move on, it's important to give Betty space if she perceives herself more on the vulnerable side. We don't deny that, we validate it, but we put it at the right place. This could sound like, okay, when we ask Betty, which is the emotion driving Betty, she might tell us, inside, Betty feels very vulnerable. I said, okay, that's important to know, and I'm sure you're right. But Tom, do you see this vulnerable Betty from the outside? And usually Tom doesn't perceive that Betty. So we moderate the process by validating Betty and said, inside, there might be a vulnerable side, but this is overshaded, this is concealed by a more active front stage presentation. So we also work on two levels. We give space for something happening inside while we agree on there's a front stage presentation visible from the outside. So everything's at the right place and nothing is denied. It's not about right or wrong. It's just about getting aware of things, validate them, and then put them on the right place. In the next step, when we start working now on the experiential level, we try to get an image from the Betty from the outside, like through a camera lens. So we ask Betty, Betty, can you picture this Betty down there? Can you see how her eyes sparkle, her hands move firmly, tough wording, strong voice tone, maybe a little bit condescending wording? Can you see how she's leaning forward? Can you picture the energy coming from that Betty? If Betty keeps vague or denies some of these features, we ask her first, but we try to guide her into that view. You can always ask Tom what he perceives. So bringing that all together in peace leads us to a joint view from the outside. Once we are there, we ask Betty to sit down on Tom's chair now, while me as the therapist sitting in between and Tom on the other side. We always separate the couple to avoid them start fighting. Now we sit here, and I'm asking all three, Tom, me, and Betty, to close our eyes because we always try to be in the same perspective. It's not working well if Tom observes Betty and me working. He should be part of the team, part of the process. Once we're there, we ask Betty, okay, Betty, could you please close your eyes? And now let's all bring up the image of this energetic Betty over there with her sparkling eyes, her voice tone, her wording, her energy, her lean forward position. Can you see that Betty in front of you? Can you see all these features? And if you see this Betty, how does that make you feel in your body? So we guide Betty away from her cognitive level, her semantic processing, her storytelling part, her self-concept, into a present moment perception of herself in real time. And to help her, we guide her into the body and ask her, if you see this Betty over there, how does that make you feel in your body? Is your chest getting wider or tighter? Breathing easier or harder? Is your feeling in your belly powerful, crampy, or more flaw like fainting? And do you feel empowered, and do you feel you could expand, or are you more feeling like a pulled plug falling apart? We offer these polarities to guide the client into a simple decision and avoid them from getting back to the cognitive level. We want to make them connect with the body activations of their emotional side. Once she's there, she might feel the pressure. She might feel a constrained chest, a more weak feeling in the body. And then we ask Betty, if you feel this way, very good, well done. What is your impulse now? And believe it or not, if the client is in the perception of this image, they feel the impulse to turn away, to check out. And that's important because now she feels on an emotional level why Tom turns away. And in the next step, we ask Betty, okay, I'm fully on your page that sometimes being on the tough side, being active is helpful. But now you see that the downside is that it pushes people away. So are you interested if I could show you a plan B, a second option, to add another tool to your toolbox in creating relationships? I would appreciate that because then you have a choice. You don't have to sacrifice anything of your strength. But if you add a second approach, which might be a little bit softer, you might be more flexible. Are you interested to give that a try for 5 minutes? If Betty agrees, we ask Tom to sit back on his chair, but now turned away because this is the symbolization or visualization of his detached coping, turning him away. And we now sit with Betty. And again, we all close our eyes. And I ask Betty now, again, we go into an imagery, into an experiential stance. And I ask Betty, okay, could you please close your eyes now? And can you picture Tom turning away from you, walking away, walking through the door, walking down the street? It's getting smaller and smaller. And now you don't see him anymore. He's gone forever. This time he's gone forever. And you know you'll never see him again all your life. How does that make you feel in your body when you get aware that you spoiled the relationship? You didn't make it, you failed, you're alone again. And this wording is schema activation wording because I used the labels of the schemas: failure, abandonment, shame, you didn't make it. And this wording now is meant to activate the schemas in Betty's inside, connected with the vulnerable feeling, concealed by her schema coping, guiding her into her tough front stage presentation. So we try to replay, to undo the schema compensation by giving her an image, inducing schema activation. And if she goes there, again, I ask her, how does it make you feel in your body? Is your chest getting wider, tighter, breathing easier, hard, belly powerful, weak? Can you expand or do you fall apart? And hopefully she now feels her vulnerable side, the loneliness, the sense of failure. And then I validate that and say, Betty, that's so beautiful. Now you are in touch with your vulnerable side. And it's always been there. We just rediscovered it. You always put it back and hide it behind your front stage presentation, which is so powerful. This is what you learned over life. But inside, there's a part of you waiting to be seen and heard. And let's try now to talk to Tom from your vulnerable side. And then we support her, still eyes closed. And we ask her, Tom, do you need Tom? Yeah. What is Tom good for? What do you need him for? What is he giving to you? What is he meaning to you? And then we give words and say, okay, I need you. You give me strength. I feel safer with you. Life is sad without you. I want to be with you. I need to feel the warmth of your body. And first we prepare that talking to each other. And once this is somehow settled, we support Betty to talk to Tom from that vulnerable side, which is usually not that easy, but we can help her. And once she's there, we stop her and say, okay, Betty, let's wait a second. And then I'm asking Tom, if you hear these words from Betty, how does that make you feel in your body? Usually Tom feels safe and soft and softened up. And then I can ask them, Tom, do you want to get closer to this Betty talking to you now? You usually get a yes. And if you're there, still eyes closed, you can take Tom by the hand, guiding Tom towards Betty. Betty wants to connect with him anyway. So you sit here, connect with Betty. Eyes closed, get them closer, holding hands or most frequently hugging. Keep them connected. Let them feel the connection with eyes closed, asking them, how do you feel now? Getting so close. Then I ask, if you compare this feeling you have now, which is real, because this is the present moment, there is no other reality than this present moment. If you compare this feeling right now with the feeling you had when you came to the session 20 minutes ago, yeah, that's a difference. But your brain can do both. You have a choice. You can get on the activated or pushy dominant side, and you can connect with your vulnerable side and show that vulnerable part. And this is an invitation for the other person to connect with you, much more than connecting with the tough side. And now you have a choice. You can play it hard on your tough side, and you can play it soft from your vulnerable side. This gives you more flexibility. Once you're there, you create a set point for better encounters for the couple, and you can end the session this way. And we record the session so the couple has the opportunity to listen to this recording at home on the sofa, and they realize they can carry the experience from the session over to their living places. Yeah, that's what I try to show you. That's one of the exercises we do in the training. You will practice it there. So if you're interested, enroll in the training and you learn how to do it. Looking forward to see you there, and be well and safe. Bye-bye.